Podcast Bites.
Hey, Jimmy and Will, I've dealt with an extremely annoying itch all across my back, shoulders, and inside my arms ever since I began eating keto. I tried eating no dairy. The itching persisted. I stopped taking in as much vitamin C. That didn't solve the problem either. I highly suspect this is coming from the oxalate dumping in my body as I eat a lot of almond butter, almond milk, and raspberries as a keto dieter over the past 7 months. I used to be a vegan and added back in red meat after years of not eating it to help with my kidney health. Any suggestions you might have about how to deal with this annoying itch? Thanks for listening, Mary. So how does she deal with this persistent itch that began when she started eating keto? And is there anything else that she should try to deal with it?
So back to what we had said earlier about the ringing in the ears, we have to go upstream here to see what's causing that. So a few things to consider, and everybody's different here, is one thing to talk about would be the keto rash, as they call it. The official term is something like prurigo pigmentosa, but basically it's not very common, so don't want to dramatize it. But it's an itching and rash that happens for some people when they are producing ketones. For most people, if it does happen, it's happening at the beginning stage when they are becoming fat adapted and their body starts burning ketones. For some people, I find that it happens a little bit longer. What the mechanism at play there for those people is that they're a little bit sensitive to the ketone acetone in their sweat. So it can make some people a little bit more sensitive and cause a rash, mainly where sweat can build up. So maybe in their armpits, and places where they're sweating mostly. It's in the armpits or their arms and things like that. So for those people, I would say you want to be well hydrated, wash yourself off if it's happening after a workout. And it should go away. I would say as your body adapts and your body is becoming more fat adapted, the keto rash tends to go away with time. The other things to consider with rashes, putting my functional medicine hat on, would be things like histamine intolerance, which can happen when somebody is having these sort of Herxheimer, like die-off symptoms of things going on in the gut, like SIBO, or maybe a yeast overgrowth, like Candida overgrowth. You can look, because there are some keto foods that are still higher histamine, like fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. Bone broth can be higher in histamines. Like for a full list, if you want to, I've written articles about it. They can go to drrocole.com if they want to see the low histamine food list and foods that cause the release of histamines too. And then you can take, if it is a histamine intolerance, deal with the underlying gut problem. You can supplement with like a histamine enzyme called diamine oxidase, or DAO, and that will help recycle and break down histamine if that's the case. And in the question, the person mentioned oxalates, which is another compound in food similar to histamine. It's in a lot of plant foods, and they can use things like digestive enzymes or limit those higher oxalate or higher histamine foods for a while they focus on healing their gut, which I think is the bigger picture there. So those are some things to consider. If it is an oxalate issue, you could try increasing the amount of calcium in your diet, which can help to mitigate that. And she mentioned limiting the vitamin C content, because basically oxalates are produced as basically an end product of vitamin C. But to be honest with you, unless you're mega dosing vitamin C, I don't see that being an issue for most people. I wouldn't say that's going to be a major driver unless you're taking a lot of vitamin C.
Or if you're eating a ton of like organ meats, which can have a lot of vitamin C in it too.
Totally. Yeah. But other than those are some things I would consider, is looking at what's going on, maybe with histamine intolerance. You can measure that on a lab too. You can measure histamine levels in the blood. You can measure diamine oxidase, the enzyme that breaks down histamine in the blood. Food sensitivities is something else to consider too. Having nothing to do with oxalates or histamines or keto rash. It's just maybe you're having something like a dairy sensitivity or egg sensitivity, and that's causing a rash. So there's a lot of variables to consider, but those are some things to think about.
Avocado, motherfucker.